You're listening to the Art of the... Oh, shit. I mean, the Daily Solutions Podcast.
La la la. La la la.
Okie dokie.
Hey, everybody, welcome.
Welcome to a special episode.
That's right,
of
special.
the Daily Solutions Podcast.
Because I'm here.
That's right, because this time we have Ashkahn.
It's Ashkahn. Hey, everybody. Yep.
And we have me, I'm Graham. And we have...
I'm Dylan.
Whoa.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's special
Podcast
episode.
crossover.
Hey, everybody.
It's like when they mix The Simpsons and Futurama or something.
Or like Simpsons and Family Guy.
Yeah, there
That's
you go.
right.
Yeah, same thing.
So, yeah, we got Dylan over here from the Float Shoppe across town from us and from the Art of the Float podcast that probably many of you out there listen to.
And we have a question for all of us.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd pull in Dylan because this one is a hard one for us to answer on our own, which is...
They did not give me the question beforehand, FYI.
Yeah, I didn't even give it to Ashkahn
Yeah,
either.
I
so.
actually have no idea what we're about to talk about.
Perfect.
So the question is, for practitioners like massage therapists and acupuncturists, is it better to have an independent contractor or an employee or a mix of both?
Oh, you guys are just staring at me. You want me to answer?
Well, we don't know,
Yeah.
so this is a...
So we
I
don't
mean,
really
we
What
have-
about all your LMTs and
We
those
don't have
float tanks?
we don't have any of those things.
Yeah, and
we do
I'll-
have one person who cuts hair in the back, you know, but
That is not true. That is not... we don't have that.
Well, is he contractor or employed, or does he rent space?
So here's what I'm going to guess, knowing nothing about this. I'm
most
going...
like how most of our episodes go.
Yeah, it's actually very similar. I'm going to guess that it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
That this is not a black and white thing. There's nuance
I
to the
think-
world.
I think the number one thing is where you live, basically, is kind of going to decide on what the best answer is for you. Like
I
in
didn't expect
Portland.
you to say that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So in Portland, you do not want to mess around with the city and contractors. That's a very scary thing. And there are, I won't name names, but there are massage, spas or centers. I'm only used to referring to float centers. What do you call a massage place?
I don't even know. Massage facility?
Yeah.
Place?
Massage automatron of sorts.
Yeah.
They
Human float tanks.
have gotten in trouble with the city because they've said all of our people are contractors, and there is a list of things that you have to say that are true to be a contract employee. And the city can say, well, you meet some of these, but you don't meet all of them, or you can make a case, you can make an argument. You can have to make that argument 3 years after you received a paycheck. I think it's up to 3 years after you received a paycheck. It might even be 5. It's been a while since I've had to look into this. And they can go, nope, you checked a lot of those boxes of being a contractor, but actually you're an employee. Therefore, you owe the city X number of dollars in unpaid taxes. Now, I'm not saying that the city has it out for anybody to make money or anything like that, but it does seem to make sense to me that a city might want to make money. And so why would I ever want to put it in their hands to make that choice, to have to pay? Sorry. Actually, I think I went a little bit out of order here. It wouldn't be the employee that would need to pay the tax. It's the employer that would need to pay both their employer tax and the employee's tax. So
Really?
as the employer,
Wow.
you get boned, basically.
And the government gets more tax money than they would have.
Or the same amount?
Well,
all
because
from
the
one
independent
place?
contractor already paid the taxes, right? Like they're not giving the
interesting.
independent contractor
Oh, boy.
back their tax money,
Yeah,
are
it's
they?
true.
I don't know how that part works, and I don't know if there were any fines that go into it.
Uh-huh.
But I do know that it scared the heck out of a lot of LMT, automatron centers. They've all switched to the employee style. Honestly, I wish Sandra was on this episode because she's the one who really technically understands all of this information. She's the one who schooled me on this, and was the one, even before the crackdown happened, that she was like looking at the list, online they provide you this, must meet these, and can't be this. And
Right.
she's like, this is vague as hell. You can't we can't make an argument and know that this is going to go through with this. And then it was just like a year later, I think we really started hearing about the crackdown in Portland. So, sorry, guys. So I will try to step away from that aspect of it. The other, I think, so the one that you didn't bring up is just renting this a room as well. And that comes with, this is a big question, you guys. This is going to be one of your 12-minute
14
minimum.
seconds left, so good luck.
Good.
So wait,
Call me.
so for renting a room though, how does that? I guess that's just income you have coming in, and they're not considered even related to you in a contractor sense.
Just in the room rental business.
Yeah, tenant.
So with the tenant, with the room rental, that can actually be really good for a float center that's just starting out. So like you don't have guaranteed revenue coming in. Here's an extra $400 that's going to be in your pocket, and you don't need to advertise for them or anything. Like that person is coming in. The other thing is that they're hungry. The LMT wants to get people in and fill up their room, which is good for a few reasons. One is just they're going to be bringing people into your center, and they're more likely to float. But the inverse of that is if they are an employee or a contractor, they might not really care about their job or making money that much. And, they like living just a very modest, chill lifestyle, and they don't need to make a lot of money. And if that's the case, you want them to be pulling people in. You might be spending advertising money on getting people in the door. And if they're not hustling, then it's like, gosh darn it. Now, again, invert that. They're paying rent. You just have $400 cash. You're already profiting. And the other way just requires a lot more effort, work, and over time. It's a relationship. I mean, there's a lot that goes into having human beings instead of float tanks. And float tanks require a lot of work as well, but it's just a different kind of work. And you tend not to cycle out of float tanks that often. LMTs tend to have more turnover than float tanks, I would say. And we've had some really good long-term relationships with LMTs, but still, like they move on eventually is the tendency. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, so in this scenario that you're renting a room to someone, does anything get tricky?
Yes.
I
know where you're going. I know where you're going. Yes,
Great.
It does.
Okay. Well, my question is going to be about
too.
like how integrated they are into your business. Like if you're booking their appointments through your software and taking phone calls. Okay. So
you have
going under the same name. They're
Great.
saying come to the Float Shop, which means if they provide a crappy service, maybe it reflects poorly on you, but you don't really have control because they're just renting a room.
Yep. All the things that you said are true. Like those are confusing and difficult things. I will say we've built a really beautiful relationship with our LMT. Our acupuncturist, who she does rent space. She's also on our website, and you can also purchase through our purchasing system, through our online point of sale, everything. Like we process that for her, and then checks are written back and forth that the city and state say are good. I'm sorry, I don't remember down to that minutia how it works, but yes, it is possible. But this is also somebody we know is hungry to have business, to grow this, and loves what we do. And so there's this really nice reciprocal relationship that we have that I wouldn't necessarily think everybody can have, especially somebody who's just opening up with a float center or just adding massage. Like unless you really know this person, you don't know how invested they're going to be. And if you're putting your brand, under your brand umbrella, that's a scary thing to do. So I would definitely out of the gate recommend being very conscious about how you're going forward with that. And the easiest thing would be not under our brand. You take money separately. And I do in the same breath, I'll say, I love packages, right? Like that's a great reason to come to the Float Shop is you get a massage and a float, or massage, float, acupuncture. You can have these big things together. And that's a really nice selling point, especially when you want to diversify from your competition, a la Float On. Like that was one thing where we will have something that separates us and makes us different. And so to that end, it is nice, if nothing else on the back end, to have some agreement where, money needs to go or discounts need to be applied to rent, whatever, again, works legally in your state and is appropriate. There's one other thing I wanted to say about that. And just know that takes up more of your time and your attention, and that is very limited within probably your first 3 years of your business, you don't have a lot of time to do that, right? Like, so if you're going to do marketing on float tanks, you can devote 100% of your attention on floating. But if you need to also devote it towards this person's massage, then that's how much of a percentage do you want to devote to that versus revenue coming in. And that can also influence whether they're paying rent or if they're an employee or a contractor. But I haven't answered your question, which was employee or contractor, right?
Well, you
room, yeah, we didn't even know room rental was an option. So that was,
Oh, right. We've done it all at the shop. It's ridiculous.
So what do you have right now? What's your current setup, just for the record, for the
Well,
lineup?
I think you could infer based off of what I described previously in Portland is they're all employees now.
And room rentals, though. You have some room rentals and some
Yeah, our
employees?
acupuncturist is a room rental, and then all of our LMTs are employees. We don't have any contractors.
Oh, do you notice that? Do the LMTs themselves have a preference?
I think they do. I'm sorry, I can't answer for them at the moment. I know.
Damn it,
again, I wish
Dylan!
Sandra-
I want you to talk for other people.
Impromptu questions. I think everybody is very happy with being employees, but I do think even I think contract LMTs do make a little bit more money as contractors. It might be all on the back end, and by back end I mean the float center. They might be the ones making the true financial decisions.
Sure, yeah. And at least for us, too, in things like float tank solutions, we don't use really independent contractors for our main work in the shop, obviously, because we tell people when to show up and what they have to do and how they should do their job. Which, by the way, if you don't know the basic differences between independent contractors and employees, it's some of those, but look it up. Just Google it is what I was going to say. We could go into it, but it's such a well-documented thing and also so nebulous. Like Dylan says, it can come down to basically just arguing in court. Like, that's part of the process. It's a gray enough area where there are no total certainties. But generally if you're telling someone when to be somewhere, what to do, it's more a staff member. But yeah, our Float Tank Solutions employees, I was going to say, definitely prefer being employees as opposed to independent contractors for no other reason than the tax kind of benefits, right? All of a sudden, the business is paying a portion of those taxes as opposed to them having to cover 100% of it themselves. So at least in our experience, that actually seems to be favorable. I mean, it's kind of like a harder thing for the business to have all employees in a certain sense. So you deciding to go that route is deciding to be responsible and in your case, probably just do what is actually right and take a little bit of a tax hit for doing that, which...
It's weird. I mean, for me, it doesn't really feel like a moral right or wrong. Like, there's weird stuff like...
What's a legal right and wrong,
we're talking about these check boxes for like, there's employee and then there's like LMT employee. Like, we have to provide their oils, but if we're providing the sheets, they're an employee, or if we tell them how to give a massage, they cannot be a contractor. Like they have to be able to give their own massage style, and it's like, well, you can't do that here. Like, I need you to give this. We need to be able to tell you how to give a massage. If a customer says it was bad, or you weren't given relaxation, and you were doing shiatsu, like, or whatever, like we have to be able to say that.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Let's see. So I was trying to think. The room rental thing is interesting because I do actually find a lot of people who go that route, and I think previously I had sort of had it in my mind that they were kind of taking a contractor route. But you're right; it is a totally different kind of financial relationship there. And
I got a question.
Wait,
I'm going to jump in here with the question here.
What? I was going to say something.
Yeah. How much does it affect the people who are like room rentals when they leave? Are they really taking their customer base with them? Or do those people kind of stick with you as customers?
I don't think we've had that scenario, aside from yoga, which is a completely different beast altogether. So the only person we have rented rooms to are therapists and our acupuncturist, and they have not left. We're pretty good at that. I can pat myself on the back for that one, I think. Like, we're pretty good with our retention. We treat people really well. We really prioritize that, including our LMTs. Like, we give them a very nice percentage split and all that stuff. And we want people to be happy. And we really feel like it starts from the source. Like, the people who work in your business, like, have to be treated well and feel like they're in a nice community. And that will emanate outwards. And so far, that's worked really well for us.
Nice. So back to what I was saying, though.
It's a good question, though. I think we can all appreciate that.
Excellent question.
Even from a place of hostility here, I appreciated the question. Yeah.
Even better answer, I'd say.
Great answer. So what I was going to say, like, because we get this question too, and you probably do with the consulting that you do. Which, by the way, little plug, Dylan also does consulting in addition to his podcast, and you should definitely think about hitting him up, or hitting us up for consulting, or hitting anyone up for consulting if you're listening to this and opening a Float
that's what
Center.
I usually say is like, find me, that's great, but just find somebody. You need a consultant.
Oh
You
my
need somebody
God.
for
I
this
love when you
process.
say that on your podcast every time. I'm just like clapping in the background. I'm just like, yes, like find someone. You can't go it alone, you know?
Even better, pay all of us and let us all join in on one call and let us see what each other's answers are and let us take notes and all that. I think that'd be
That'd
fun.
be amazing.
Plus one more excuse to talk to you guys. So
So
That's about all the time we have.
oh
so.
my God, get out of here. Jordan, can you just cut Ashkahn out of the podcast this time around?
All right, what's your question?
he's gonna
It's
hear
not a
his
question.
name.
I had a statement. I just wanted to talk for a while. So I was going to say, I get this question. And it's...
Is this one episode still?
This is one episode.
Yeah. Sometimes we go long when we have fun. It's this, which is I'm opening up. Should I have should I rent a room or should I have an actual massage therapist who I bring on staff? You know, they're like, no, they want to offer massage and they're not sure which direction to go.
Yeah.
How would you say, like, how would you answer that question if someone's like, what should I do in this case?
Yeah.
That was a question, by the way. It wasn't a statement.
Can you phrase that in the form of a statement so I can answer that question?
I have my statement's coming after the question. I realized I wanted someone else's opinion before I just launched into it, you know? Because I know what I say, but I don't want to flavor your...
Oh, okay. Well, now
you know?
I'm interested how you're going to flavor my meal here. So I think almost like your answer, like just out of the gate has to be is like case by case, right? Like you can't just give a universal answer. But I would say for the most part, for somebody opening a float center, I think it is generally safer to do a room rental than have another LMT there because it's just so much freaking work. It's just so much work to bring people in, the marketing, everything. Like I just said earlier, like you're either giving 100% of your attention towards floats or you're cutting up that percentage and a fraction of it is going to massage. And you don't know, well, most likely your massage is going to be a much smaller financial percentage, but you're going to have to devote more attention to even get that percentage. Like the floating numbers are much easier than the massage numbers. Also, they, sorry for the buzzword, they do synergize together though. So there is something nice about that as well. So it's a tough one. It's but for if I just had to give a universal answer for really basic, somebody starting out kind of grassroots style bootstraps, I would say room rental.
And so what I say, my personal opinion is, and I might have even gotten this from you too after like one of our chats over beers, but I pretty much tell people, I'm like, you have to really care about the service you're offering if you want to have employees there for it. Like if you've been an LMT in the past, if that's your world is massage, or if you just really want to get into that world and also have a couple float tanks, sure, like staff it, do the whole shebang. But just like you said, it's going to be a ton of work. And if what you want is to have a practitioner in your building, maybe rent a room and don't put yourself through all of that kind of crazy rigmarole that you'll have to go to if you actually want to be managing every single employee.
So it's possible somebody just doesn't want to deal with the cash stuff anymore. Like some LMTs love, it's one person, they're coming into their house or their flex space or whatever it is, and like they want to do all of that stuff. But there are people who have a large clientele base already. They're just sick of doing the cash transactions part. They just want to do the massage. Bring that person on. That is most likely going to be better than just a rental. Like that is the person who is perfect to move in. So that also kind of leads into the case by case basis of like who that person is, your relationship with them, your level of passion, where you're at with your business. Like there are all these different kind of metrics to put together to be like, yeah, this is right for you, you know, and that's tough.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But the passion is definitely a good place to start.
Cool. Well, so I have a few more things that I'd like
That's
to...
all right. This has been a great episode.
Well, I also had to...
Thank you so much, Dylan,
thanks for hopping on.
Thanks for having me
It's been
on.
a pleasure.
Yeah. And if you have other questions for us that you want us to pass along to Dylan, you can
Yep. Go to artofthefloat.com.
floattanksolutions.com/podcast. That's where you can go.
Yep. And that is where they find you too. Is it artofthefloat.com?
That's correct.
That they send
Yeah,
you to?
and be sure to check out the Family Guy crossover episode too, if you want to hear more from these guys.
That's right. Yeah, we were.
I'm
Just
sure
on
if you're
his
listening to this,
podcast.
you're well aware of Dylan's podcast. But if you haven't binge listened, definitely go back and listen to all 900 episodes or whatever he has on there.
At least 900 hours, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's tough.
All right. Thanks so much,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.